Hello, everyone. This is Jack Bosch speaking, and welcome to another episode of the Forever Cash Real Estate Podcast, where we talk about many kinds of words of real estate investing, but we have a focus on land flipping the land profit generator way. So, our guest today is a wonderful couple from Tucson, Arizona, and who are also, like many others on the show, flipping land. They went through some struggles, then finally succeeded, and we're going to hear all about it. So, just stay tuned. We're going to get started in just a moment. In the meantime, don't forget, if you like that, give us a 5-star review. If you're watching this on YouTube, put the thumbs up, share it with other people. But now let's get started.
Welcome to the Forever Cash Life Real Estate Investing Podcast with your hosts, Jack and Michelle Bosch. Together, let's uncover the secrets to building true wealth through real estate and living a purpose-driven life.
So hello, we are back, and I'm super excited to have with us right now Memo and Laura Batt. Or actually, ladies first, Laura and Memo Batt, right? How are you guys doing?
Doing
Good.
well, thank you, Jack.
Wonderful. You live in Tucson, Arizona, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, and you are part of our land profit generator community. You've done some land deals, but let me first ask you a little bit about your background. Have you always been in real estate? How did you guys come up with getting into real estate?
So our background is I went to school actually for nursing and worked as a nurse for a few years. Memo is an engineer, and he still works as an engineer at the present time. But hopefully that will change very soon. But we did get into real estate a few years back. We got involved with our ASRIA and came across a few different types of investments, and we tried a few different ones. Nothing that really worked for us, but we did.
Like what kind of things did you try?
Go ahead.
We did a couple of programs through ARIA. We did like what do you call
We did lease purchase,
lease
notes.
option, tried notes, lease purchase, seller financing kind of deals. But we did it as we were told. We worked hard, and I think it was a challenge for us to get going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. All right. So you tried some of the programs, you bought some of the courses, you tried it, but it didn't work. So now what made you try one more time?
So we had seen Jack come to our RIA, and honestly, what really spoke to us is that we liked your down-to-earthness, if that's a word. You talked about bringing your family with you, and our family is very, very important to us, and this is why we're doing it. So we just really connected with that, and you really have your daughter involved, and it just really spoke to us, and we're like, let's try it. So we went to your event, and then we went to the big event. And did you want to add anything?
No, that's accurate.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wonderful. Yes, and as a matter of fact, before we started the recording, we just realized that as of the time of this recording, which is like in mid-March of 2019, I'm actually scheduled to speak at ASRIA again, the Arizona Real Estate Investor Association again. And I already asked my family, like, remember 2 years ago I went to Tucson, you guys came with me. Do you guys want to come again? And they're like, of course. So it's like a 2-hour drive, and my family we want to just be together. So it's going to be my daughter, my wife, and my mother-in-law, and the dog probably. They're going to stick the dog in there too. All of us going to go drive down to Tucson for me to go speak there. And then, I don't know, while I speak, they go shopping or go have dinner and so on. And then we just drive back together. They rather do that than not be together. And I love that. I enjoy that. They enjoy that. And hey, that's how we live our lives. So that's great that you guys resonated with that. So what happened since you started with that?
Well, we joined your mentorship program with that, and it was phenomenal. The support we got from our coaches was awesome. It's just kind of holding you by the hand and do this, don't do that, and just like you feel stuck and you have nowhere to turn, and you have someone there. You have someone to ask questions. Like, what do I do here? What if this happens? It helps a lot.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of maybe part of our struggle with other types of strategies, is that we didn't really have anyone to go to if we had questions, and this helped us just really go through each obstacle that we had and get over it and understand what to do in different situations in the future. And so it was really, really awesome.
Wonderful. I'm glad. And then what happened next? What was the result of that? Did you have any deals? Did
Yeah.
you get any deals done? I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, right?
Right.
You can have the best experience in the world, but if the deals are not there, then what good is it for, right?
Right. And it was definitely something where, we send out the letters, and so you have that time where you're like, working on the deal. And so finally we did end up closing. I think it was a few months into it. But then once the first one came, then they all pretty much came, bam, bam, bam. And so we started closing in May of last year, had a couple in May, had a couple in June, one in July. So we're going to be closing our 9th one, and we're actually sending another contract tonight for another of our deals. So.
Wonderful. So 9 deals so far. I mean, that's better. That sounds like it's much better than all the other things you have tried.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That's really exciting. Now, tell us, pick a deal, like perhaps one that was, I think, and you told me earlier, and another time we talked, that you had done a deal where you kind of negotiated the seller down, and then you ended up making like $15,000 or $20,000 on that. Tell us about that one, perhaps.
Yeah, so there was one, a couple really good ones, but that one was really awesome. So we actually initially had offered, I believe, about $12,000 on the property because it was in a hot area, and then once through a little bit of the research, we saw that it's not a buildable lot. The percolation test was already done and everything. So we went back to the seller and let them know that, and we negotiated down to $1,500.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so then
we quite a discount, $12,000 to $1,500.
Yeah, and so
I need to learn negotiating from you guys.
And once we did that, then we actually ended up selling it for. We made after closing costs and everything, we made $17,000. So we disclosed that. We let them know. Yeah, and we actually sold it to someone out of the country.
Nice.
Never saw the property. He knew it wasn't going to perk. He didn't care. So it was perfect.
Did he tell you what he's going to use it for?
He was going to use it for something in the future for his son. So I think he was anticipating sewer would get there sometime, but I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is the thing. That's what people always think about the land is like, well, it doesn't perk, it's worthless. Well, that's what the seller thought. Mm-hmm. The buyer thinks, well, it's in a great location. The city's coming closer, and at a certain point of time, it's going to have water and sewer. I don't need to care about the percolation test. I'm buying it at $20,000 or so probably right now, minus closing costs. And I'm buying at $20,000, and chances are down the road it's going to be worth $50,000. And it has water and sewer. That's a great deal for him, and it's a great deal for you guys. Mm-hmm. Now, what you mentioned, what was when you got started? What do you think was your biggest struggle?
I think a lot of it is like the fear of the unknown. Like, what contracts do I use, or what do I tell the buyer? What do I tell the seller? Mm-hmm. It's just a lot of the fears of the unknown, and I think that's where the coaching program is really helpful. Is you don't have to be afraid, and if you are, you have someone who could help you get through the fears.
And I would also add, like, overanalyzing. We would overanalyze things, and this kind of just was like, just do it, just send them. You don't need to do anything else. Don't think about it. Just follow the steps, and they work. And I think also another thing that for me personally was, like, you see, how successful you have been, and you see other people, and you feel like, maybe we can't get there. But then when you start seeing, you just follow the steps, if you believe in yourself, you can do it. So that was something that was important for us.
Wonderful. That's great. Now, going back to negotiating, how in the world did you get that seller from $12,000 to $1,500? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I just talked to her, and told her, this is what we found out. And she actually knew, she just didn't tell us.
Okay.
Yeah. So someone had tried to build, and that's how they found out. So I let her know that's what, there's nothing that anybody really could do on the property. It's going to limit our buyers.
How did you find out?
We called the county.
And they tell you? Because the percolation test usually gets registered with the county, and they let them know that they have done it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I believe we also spoke with the Department of Environmental Quality. I think had it as well. It was like a few people we had to talk to, but yeah, they had that information. So we just kind of talked to her and let her know. And she didn't really, she's like, well, I want to get rid of it. And so I was like, okay. So we kind of started, I didn't want to like rip her off, but, I wanted to get the best deal as well. So we just kind of started going, and I said, well, what, 1,500? And she's like, okay, that's fine. And
all right. So there wasn't really that much negotiating included.
No, she didn't even really need it.
I think a big part of it is that she's paying like $200 a month for the maintenance of the grass and all the upkeep. So she probably just didn't want it anymore.
That's where some of these things come out. So people like, particularly that's the part in the land area that most people don't understand. They understand it, but they don't give it too much importance. That sellers, because when you hold on to land for long term, you do have to pay something for it. You have to pay property tax. You have to pay sometimes, if it's in a city, pay some maintenance or some upkeep. And so this lady had property taxes and $2,400 a year in maintenance and upkeep, and she didn't want to do that. And that was more important to her to avoid that cost than to make like $5,000 or $10,000, because as a smart person, she's like, if I hold it another 2 years, I have to pay another $5,000 on that. So it's $2,500 a year. It's not worth it.
Right.
Makes total sense. Yeah. So often you get in those kind of situations, you get really good deals. Awesome. So now what is the plan? You said are you still working as a nurse?
I'm not. When our daughter was born, I started.
Okay, you stopped. Okay, and then how far are you thinking you're away from getting Memo here off the hamster wheel?
Well, we're trying real hard. So, I mean, his hours are limited because he obviously has to work during the day, but we're hoping soon.
So that we're doing this on a like a part-time basis, and we just know that if we put more hours into it, then the possibilities are endless with more time to it. So we're trying to.
And we also read your Forever Cash book. So what we're trying to do is get a lot of the money that we make, and then be able to buy something or invest in a house or whatever the situation is, so we can get some residual so that we can replace his income.
Okay.
So that's what we're kind of starting, so he can go part-time and then, kind of work.
Awesome. Yeah, it's a great thing. I mean, you guys have thing, from what I know about you, you also, you have the investor mindset, right? Like, so your first house you bought, I think you mentioned to me that you still own the first house, right?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, and so that makes sense. We still own our first house. That's a rental, and the second house was a little more upscale. We sold that. The third house, we're right now in the market because it's even more upscale, because we moved to our fourth house right now, which is even more upscale. But so these higher end houses, their rental doesn't make sense. The money doesn't make sense. The returns don't make sense. Like if you have let's just pick a number. You have $1 million home that rents for $5,000. That doesn't make sense. The numbers don't make sense from there. But I'd rather use $1 million to invest in something else. Or I'd rather use, or if you have an $800,000 mortgage, you have a $4,000 mortgage payment, and then there's no cash flow, but you invested $200,000 that's not producing anything. So, but our entry level house, $150,000 home, we still rent that. Rents for $1,500 a month, and we're very happy with it.
Right.
So, yeah. That makes sense. So where does the future go? What's your goal for 2013? How many deals? 2019, not 13.
2019.
So we're trying to follow the. I heard one of your podcasts. I think you recorded like maybe 5 years ago, were how to make 250 in a quarter.
Okay.
So we kind of reversed engineer that and kind of with the numbers that we're tracking with our
response rates
and our close rate. So we kind of trying to focus on that aspect of just trying to be consistent, and eventually the deals will come.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so 250. So tell me how you did that. How are you going about generating $250,000 in profit a quarter?
Well, we according to
whether you mean it or not doesn't matter. But 80% there, I think you're still going to be fine, then, right?
Yeah. So we went through our response rate. Is not as high as others. So we took that and saw how many mailings we needed to send out
per month.
What's your response rate?
I have it right here real quick.
Approximately, just ballpark.
I think it's like 5%.
All right, that's still 5% higher than the house flippers.
Yeah, between 4 and 5%.
Yeah.
So we did that, and we came up close to what you had. I think your suggestion was 6,000 per quarter, and because of our response rate and our turnaround, we did, I think it was 7,000.
Yeah, I believe so. 7,000
mailings per quarter. So in the last quarter of the year of last year, we kind of went a little crazy and got a little bit overwhelmed.
Yeah.
So we sent a ton of letters in 1 month all at once. So it's just, and we suffered the consequences. We were behind on offers. How
many offers do you have to make?
We had to make like I think like 200.
Yeah.
And so and this is part-time. So I mean,
yeah. This is exciting.
Yeah, it was exciting. We got
a great problem to have. Believe me, you send out 7,000 letters and you got 200 offers to make, or was it 7,000 letters or less?
Well, we ended up sending.
It was last quarter when I read it, but it was kind of mid-quarter, so I sent like half of it, like 3,500.
So you sent 3,500 letters, and you have to make 200 offers. And how many deals of that have you already gotten?
I think we got like 20. I think.
Yeah,
20 deals.
I think so.
Don't say this too loud because all the house flippers are going to want to come. Just kidding. There's an abundance of deals here. But hey, if you're listening to this or watching this, in the house, here's the statistics for the house flipping area, and you can check that with every professional house flipper. And house flipper gets between 0.5% and 1% response rate on their mailings. And then on top of it, there's so much competition that even if they get a response rate, they don't get every deal, obviously. So an average house flipper has to send between 8 and 15,000 mail pieces to get one deal. They sent out 3,500 and they've gotten 20 deals from that. So you say have 200 deals, and those deals, they have an average profit of $10,000 or $12,000. You're at your $250,000, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the plan. So
some of them are smaller than others, but we have about maybe 30. We
have 22 here,
and with the 38 or so contracts that need to be sold. So somewhere around there. 30.
All right, so you got 38 contracts, and how is that? So do you have enough time to sell them?
We hired a VA to help us because there was a lot of stuff that we could delegate out that would help us focus on what was important, like talking to the buyers, talking to the sellers, making the offers. So that's kind of where we're trying to focus on, and then delegate out the other stuff that we don't need necessarily do. Yeah.
Awesome. That is fantastic. So great. So you're in the process of putting in the business systems in place so that you can get to this, to that $250,000 a quarter part-time with one virtual assistant. Loving it. That's what we like to hear. Awesome. That's great. So again, you went through your struggles. What do you think? What do you think if somebody wants to start right now, or somebody's like listening to this? What do you think? What would you give them as like your number one piece of advice? I'm leaving it at that. You pick whatever advice you want to give them.
I think just do it. Close your eyes, do it, and they'll lead you by the hand.
Yeah, definitely. It's been honestly a blessing in our life. It was, I mean, like any real estate investor, you know, obviously you have your struggles and stuff like that, but it was almost like, are we ever going to succeed, you know, in this? And, you know, once we, you know, followed the system and had that, you know, mentorship and just kept doing it and believing in ourselves and everything like that, then everything fell into place. So I would highly recommend the program. It has been a major blessing in our lives and something that we've asked for a very long time.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. So with that, thank you very much. That concludes our podcast right now. Again, if you're interested in the Land Profit Generator, we're going to put the links into the comments below. We're going to put the links into our into the show notes for the podcast, or simply you can just go to landprofitgenerator.com. We also have a Facebook group called Land Profit Generator Real Estate Group, Land Profit Generator Real Estate Group, and join us there. It's free. You see guys like you guys doing deals and reporting on their deals and helping each other. And then thank you very much. I would love your success and good luck in the future. I have no doubt that you can do the $250,000 a quarter part-time and free memo from his job.
Thank you. Thank you for the belief, and we appreciate all you guys did for us.
Thank you very much. All right, with that, bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Enjoyed this episode? Then make sure you like, subscribe, and post your comments and questions below the video. We're looking forward to hearing from you.